Now, regarding the ongoing situation in Iran, I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today.
The clock is ticking. Donald Trump has given Iran 2 weeks to surrender or face the fire. Israel has bombed Iran's nuclear facilities. Iran has launched hypersonic missiles. And now, the world's most volatile region is one misstep away from all-out war. After a week of relentless strikes, the Iran-Israel conflict has exploded from proxy wars to open military operations. Israel's air campaign has gone straight for Iran's nuclear core, striking Natanz, Fordow, and military sites near Tehran. Key nuclear scientists and top IRGC commanders are dead. Air defense systems have been wiped out. Israel now has the edge in the skies, setting the stage for future operations. Iran has responded with missile and drone strikes, including hypersonic weapons. They've targeted Israeli cities, military bases, and economic hubs. But most of those have been intercepted, thanks to Israel's layered air defense, backed by the U.S. and its allies. The region is teetering. There are fears of nuclear fallout. Markets are rattled. The global oil supply is under threat. And now, Trump has stepped into the spotlight, threatening unconditional surrender from Iran. Iran's Supreme Leader Khamenei has dismissed that call. But Trump is betting on strategic pressure and military posturing to break Iran's resistance. And he wants to reassert U.S. dominance in West Asia. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has made his intentions clear. He wants to destroy Iran's nuclear and military capacity.
המטרה הראשונית שלנו היא איום הגרעין, להסיר אותו, ואנחנו בתהליך של הסרתו. הדבר השני זה להסיר את איום הטילים הבליסטיים, ואנחנו בתהליך של הסרתו. תוך כדי זה, ברור שהמשטר הזה מתערער. אנחנו פוגעים גם במטרות שלטון, בסמלי שלטון. ראיתם את זה, תחנת השידור ועוד יש, עוד היד נטויה. אבל עניין של החלפת השלטון או נפילת השלטון הזה, היא קודם כל העניין של העם האיראני. אין תחליף לדבר הזה. ולכן אני לא הצגתי את זה כמטרה, זה יכול להיות תוצאה, אבל זה לא מטרה מוצהרת או פורמלית שאנחנו נמצאים.
He wants to decapitate command structures, and he wants to re-establish deterrence, while scoring points at home. There's a deeper play too. Some say he's pushing for regime change. He's openly threatened to assassinate Iran's supreme leader. Israel's campaign rolled out in 2 phases. First, it struck Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iranian proxies in Syria, successfully neutralizing them by mid-2025. Now it's inside Iran. Airstrikes, cyber attacks, intelligence operations. Natanz and Fordow have been bombed repeatedly. Visible damage is reported, but Iran's fortified underground sites are still intact. To finish the job, Netanyahu needs American help, specifically B-2 bombers and bunker-busting GBU-57s. That makes Trump's next move critical. The risks of regime collapse. Netanyahu has also called on the Iranian people to rise up, but this could backfire. Even critics of the regime see the U.S. and Israel as enemies. Bombing campaigns often fuel nationalism, not dissent. And if the regime collapses, it may open the door to even more radical successors. Iran's objectives are clear. Avenge Israeli strikes, protect the regime, maintain its nuclear posture, and show it can't be bullied. Its strategy has been measured. Missiles, drones, cyber attacks, and limited proxy mobilization. Some Israeli targets were hit, but Iran took heavy losses. Hezbollah and Hamas are still licking their wounds from earlier Israeli offensives. So far, they've stayed quiet. Iran hasn't crossed major red lines, like shutting down Hormuz or hitting U.S. bases. It's keeping options open for a long fight. Meanwhile, it's rallying diplomatic support from China, Russia, and parts of the global south, blaming Israel and the U.S. for destabilizing the region.
В контакте и с премьер-министром Израиля, и по этому вопросу в контакте с президентом Трампом. Всегда нужно смотреть, цель достигается или нет при начале чего-то. Мы видим, что на сегодняшний день в Иране, при всей сложности происходящих там внутриполитических процессов, мы об этом знаем, и, я думаю, нет смысла углубляться, но все-таки происходит консолидация общества вокруг политического руководства страны.
But inside Iran, pressure is mounting. Sanctions, economic collapse, public anger. If the regime feels cornered, it might accelerate uranium enrichment deep underground. The U.S. is already in deep. It's supplying intel, logistics, air defense systems, and munitions. But the big question, will Trump order direct strikes on Iran's nuclear sites? He's redeployed carrier groups and bombers to the region. But even that might not be enough to destroy Iran's deep-buried nuclear facilities. In a ground war like Iraq or Afghanistan, that's a political nightmare. On social media, Trump's turned up the heat, calling for surrender, warning Tehran residents to evacuate, and hinting at strikes on Khamenei. But so far, it's all talk. Trump is likely using psychological warfare, hoping Iran will back down without a fight. Domestic and global pressure. At home, Trump's hawkish rhetoric pleases Republican hardliners and defense lobbies, but it alienates his anti-war MAGA base. In Congress, Democrats and some Republicans are pushing back, trying to limit Trump's war powers. Globally, U.S. allies are urging restraint, fearing a wider Gulf War and a surge in oil prices. The big question: so, will Trump pull the trigger? So far, he hasn't. He's supplying weapons, but holding back on direct strikes. Iran hasn't attacked U.S. forces or blocked Hormuz, giving Trump space to pressure, but not escalate. This could be a waiting game. Strong deterrence, limited strikes, psychological pressure. Or it could be the calm before a much bigger storm. If the U.S. joins the strikes, Iran might go deeper underground with its nuclear program. That raises the risk of radiation leaks, humanitarian fallout, and damage to global non-proliferation efforts. It could also set off a nuclear domino effect in the region. A U.S.-led attack could also provoke a wider war. Hezbollah could strike Israel. Gulf states could be dragged in. And Hormuz, through which 20% of global oil flows, could be choked off. That would send shockwaves through the world economy and split Western unity. Netanyahu wants Trump to act. He's running out of munitions, and he wants a legacy-defining U.S. intervention, like Iraq in 2003. Trump's recent line? He's giving 2 weeks of diplomacy before making a final decision. It could be a genuine attempt to avoid war. It could be a ploy to force Iran into a deal. Or it could be bait to catch Tehran off guard. Donald Trump now stands at a turning point. He's threatened war. He's positioned forces. But he hasn't fired the first shot yet. If he holds back, he could stabilize the region. If he attacks, the flames could engulf it. Trump says he wants peace through strength. But this strength could tip into catastrophe. The next move is his.